And that's my question.
Remember
the
this.
long term.
Yeah.
Is it okay in the short term to have a recession?
This. Look, everything's okay. What we are, I said, this is a transition period. I think we're going to do fantastically.
Well, there you have it, folks. Donald Trump just casually said that a recession is okay. No big deal, just a little economic pain for your year, like a seasonal allergy, but with layoffs.
It's a stunning statement when not too long ago, Trump and company were saying this.
I think there will be a recession.
I don't see it at all.
And I guarantee no recession.
There's going to be no recession in America.
Trump promised to fight for the average American, but now it appears that he's pulling a Robin Hood in reverse. His priorities clearly laid out in a newly released White House spending wish list. And priority number one, the military, which would see a massive funding increase of more than $1 trillion to more than $1 trillion. So what's low on the list of presidential priorities? Critical programs that millions of people rely on. Things like education, the CDC, and the NIH. Housing assistance and environmental protections are all facing aggressive cuts.
Now, if you recall, Trump spent his 2024 campaign claiming that he was the only thing standing between America and a 1929 crash.
We're going to have a crash, and we're going to have a crash like a 1929 crash if she gets in. You saw a gentleman yesterday who got up, one of the top analysts in the world, frankly, and said that if Trump isn't elected, he predicts, and he's predicting you have a stock market crash like 1929.
He said it a lot.
If Harris wins this election, you will quickly have a Kamala economic crash. You're going to have a crash. If we lose, you're going to have a crash like you wouldn't believe. Did you see that? Their stock market crashed when we won. Many people say that the only reason the stock market is up is because people think I am going to win. And we are a nation whose stock market's continued success is totally contingent on MAGA winning the next election. We are a nation whose stock market's continued success is contingent on MAGA winning the next election. If we don't win the next election, the stock market will crash, just like it did in 1929.
Do you remember when Trump said this during the 2020 presidential debate?
President, I have to move on to the next question.
They said the stock market will boom if I'm elected. If he's elected, the stock market will crash.
Trump only knows how to fearmonger. He said that if we elected Biden, it would destroy the economy, and then claimed that Harris would finish the job, except now he's the only one that's delivering on a recession.
So what do you think it means for the economy now?
I think we're jumping into recession. You never just glide in. We're going into it right now. I think you'll see housing continue to slow down given the elevated interest rate outlook. So new home sales probably slow down. Investment spending is likely going to drop meaningfully. I mean, you're already seeing that across a range of surveys. And I think employment will be the next thing that moderates. Job finding rates have collapsed. Quits rates are collapsing. I mean, this is it's not a good situation. So I don't like playing this sort of ridiculous game about 50% chance over the next 12 months. I mean, we're in it. Mm-hmm. We're in it.
Trump's economic strategy, like everything he says, boils down to three things. Close your eyes, ignore the data and experts, and blindly believe everything he says. Honestly, the last guy who demanded that much blind loyalty while the country tanked had a little mustache and yelled in German. Now, you might be thinking, if MAGA lost their minds over gas and egg prices, then spent 4 years blaming Joe Biden for single-handedly wrecking the economy, which, for the record, he didn't, the market hit record highs, unemployment hit historic lows, and inflation came down, then surely they'd be furious about Trump casually saying that a recession is no big deal. Right? Well, not so fast, because before you can even say man-made recession, MAGA was already out there spinning Trump's recession comments like they were part of some secret 4D economic master plan.
I felt like he was trying to not give Kristen Welker, the journalist who was interviewing him there, what she wanted. If you look at the jobs report this week, 177,000 jobs added. That beat expectations. That was strong for the last month. If you look at GDP in the first quarter, you saw exports are up. You saw that investment is way up, 21% up. Private domestic investment. There are a lot of really good things happening in the economy, and I think he was trying to just basically be contrarian with her.
By saying that there's going to be a recession?
He didn't say there's going to be a recession. Okay. No, he didn't say there'd be a recession.
I mean, I don't know, what did he think Kristen Welker wanted?
He did what Donald Trump does, which is he said,
yeah, okay. Like he said, yeah, okay. But what he was not affirming her point. He was using it as a bridge word to the next point. He said everything's fine.
Yeah.
He said everything's fine and we'll all be okay. I would not have taken Donald Trump's statement the way the media did, which was to say he said a recession would be okay. He did not, in any definitive terms, say a recession would be okay for the economy. So the media getting all spun up over the word okay in the middle of a sentence to a bridge where he said everything is fine. That was not what he was saying. And so I think that we need a little bit of clarity here to like give the president the opportunity to say that was not what he said.
Right.
Trump called this a transition period, but here's the thing. Who said we needed one? When Biden and Harris left office, real GDP was still growing. In fact, the fourth quarter of 2024 clocked in a healthy 2.4 increase. However, when Donald, art of the dumbass Trump, took office, he slapped tariffs on everything like it was a piñata, and boom, GDP contracted by 0.3% in the first quarter of 2025. That was the first economic decline in 3 years, something we didn't see under Biden and Harris.
Well, that's not great for us.
And if you thought that Trump would even take a sliver of responsibility since, you know, the whole mess started with the so-called Liberation Day tariffs, think again.
Look at the stock market in this case, it says how bad a situation we inherited. This is a quarter that we looked at today, and we took all of us together. We came in on January 20th. So this is Biden. And you could even say the next quarter is sort of Biden because it doesn't just happen on a daily or an hourly basis.
Sure, Jan.
Trump lights the economy on fire and then says, wow, can you believe what Biden did? That's not a leader, that's a coward in a red hat. President Truman used to say, the buck stops here. But with Trump, the buck stops with literally anyone who isn't him. But that's the Trump playbook. Take credit for stuff that he didn't do, blame everyone else for the disasters that he caused, and then lie about both.
When does it become the Trump economy?
It partially is right now, and I really mean this. I think the good parts are the Trump economy, and the bad parts are the Biden economy, because he's done a terrible job. He did a terrible job on everything.
If you've ever searched for your name or address in Google, it is shocking to find how many results have your personal information, and it's not by chance. Data brokers and other people search sites collect your personal information, your name, address, phone number, financial info, income, and hundreds of other records. They sell and share it publicly without your consent. But Incogni is here to put an end to that. Incogni hunts down these unethical sites and gets your info removed from the places that expose your private information. You don't have to email anyone, fill out forms, or jump through hoops. They handle the entire process for you. Incogni also continuously monitors if your data is put back onto these databases requesting repeated removals. This way, keeping them off it forever. So you get way less spam calls, spam emails, and get more peace of mind. And best of all, you can cancel anytime, and they offer a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you can get it completely risk-free. That's incogni.com/GABES and use code GABES at checkout. That's GABES. Just listen to how Fox News is already framing this whole mess.
I get two things out of that. One, you get the sense that the Democrats, which is the media, the liberal media, that they don't want to see him succeed. Like, first, you get that part. And two, that they're going to take what we know is going to be, as he calls it, a transition period. Anytime, I mean, all of us, we've had budgets in our own families, and we have to make cutbacks. It's a little painful, but you do those because at the end of it, it's going to be better for you, right? This idea of deferred gratification, which is not a real something that Democrats love to talk about. A lot of people don't like to talk about, but
especially government.
But these are things we've never seen done before. This complete, the tariffs and completely, as you said, flipping the script on our trading partners, and also getting out the corruption. And so I just think, I don't know. I think I watched that interview and I just think, she's not really excited for what the possibilities can be.
I think sometimes it's framing. I think had she put it this way, there are those who say this is going to be swimming. It's going to be great. Everything's going to move in the quickest direction. And then there are those who suggest that we may be in for a bumpy ride. Are you okay with some turbulence along the way? I think he would have handled the answer a little bit better, because I think he is rightfully, in my opinion, skeptical of the media. Even though Kristen Welker is a fine journalist, she does a pretty great job, I think, in a lot of ways. But that said, I think you nailed it. I think a lot of people on the other side of the aisle of the president are not rooting for this country to do great right now.
That's right. Forget the actual policies, the tariffs, the contracting GDP, and the job losses. No. The real problem is the liberal media. Because nothing triggers a recession like pointing out that we're already in one. And again, this was entirely avoidable. Kamala Harris literally laid it out in advance. She warned people that if Trump returned to office, we'd see a manufactured crisis.
Donald Trump has no plan for you. And when you look at his economic plan, it's all about tax breaks for the richest people. I am offering what I describe as an opportunity economy, and the best economists in our country, if not the world, have reviewed our relative plans for the future of America. What Goldman Sachs has said is that Donald Trump's plan would make the economy worse, mine would strengthen the economy. What the Wharton School has said is Donald Trump's plan would actually explode the deficit. 16 Nobel laureates have described his economic plan as something that would increase inflation and by the middle of next year would invite a recession. You just have to look at where we are and where we stand on the issues. And I'd invite you to know that Donald Trump actually has no plan for you, because he is more interested in defending himself than he is in looking out for you.
However, too many voters brushed it off thanks to a perfect storm of denial, disinformation, racism, misogyny, and some good old-fashioned, well, I just don't like her vibes.
The last 4 years, there have been tremendous economic wins, and you've just laid out a big plan. But still, polling shows that most likely voters still think Donald Trump is better to handle the economy. Why do you think that is?
Well, here's what I know in terms of the facts. Donald Trump left us with the worst economy since the Great Depression when you look at, for example, the employment numbers.
It was during COVID, and employment was so high because we shut down the government, we shut down the country.
Even before the pandemic, he lost manufacturing jobs by most people's estimates, at least 200,000. He lost manufacturing plants. Ask the auto workers how he lost auto plants. We have grown over 20 new auto plants. He has an agenda. Let's just deal with it right now going forward, not to mention what happened in the past. He has an agenda that would include making it more difficult for workers to earn overtime, an agenda that would include cutting off access to small business loans for small businesses, an agenda that includes tariffs to the point that the average working person will spend 20% more on everyday necessities, and an estimated $4,000 more a year on those everyday necessities, to the point that top economists in our country, from Nobel laureates to people at Moody's and Goldman Sachs, have compared my plan with his and said my plan would grow the economy, his would shrink the economy. Some of them have actually assessed that his plan would increase inflation and invite a recession by the middle of next year. So the facts remain that Donald Trump has a history of taking care of very rich people. And I'm not mad at anybody for being rich, but they should pay their fair share. But tax cuts for the billionaires and the top corporations in our country, and then not really paying much attention to middle-class families. My perspective on the economy is when you grow the middle class, America's economy is stronger. And there's empirical evidence to prove my point correct.
And now, her warning signs are not hypothetical anymore. They're real. Not because of a pandemic, but because of port shutdowns, trade slowdowns, and tariffs on critical imports. Just listen to the executive director of the Port of Los Angeles.
How much volume has just dropped off in the last few weeks?
Yeah, about a third of the import volume, which means give or take about 50,000 20-foot equivalent units gone off the arrivals coming in next week.
So from next week is when you expect to see this really hit?
That's correct, and that matches up. The announcement's back on April 2nd, then on April 8th, a little bit of a change on everybody ex-China, Mexico, Canada, and those arrivals are coming at us this weekend.
We'll, of course, dedicate time to your port, but I'm just wondering how you're anticipating this rolls and ripples through the economy from here, how it hits trucking, when this turns up on the shelf. What's the distance, the time from when you see a drop-off in volume and when we, as consumers, see the shortages?
Right. So CEOs are telling me, hit the pause button, right? I'm not going to import anymore at these kind of prices. Let's wait and see. I don't know if it's going to be 2 hours, 2 days, or 2 weeks till I get some clarity. Then hiring. Off the table for right now. Capital investment, pause. And the retailers are telling me that realistically, with even the 10%, I'm going to have to pass it on to the consumers.
So how much is this really coming from all over? It's not just about China. This is about really global trade coming to a standstill until there is a much greater degree of certainty and a much lower tariff rate than even the baseline that's been put out there.
Yeah, when I was last with you all, Lisa, I said global trade's going to slow, economies will follow, and that's exactly what we're seeing.
At the end of the day, this won't hit Trump. It won't hit his golf buddies or the tech bros buying citizenship with Trump gold cards. It hits regular people like you and me. We were told that Biden and Harris would destroy the economy. Well, guess what? They didn't, but Trump did, and somehow he's proud of it. Thanks for watching. If you want to support my work on What Was That, the best way is by becoming a paid subscriber at whatwasthat.show. It's fully independent, no corporate backing, no team, just me running this one-man show. You'll get exclusive episodes, deep dive breakdowns, and articles you won't find anywhere else. That's whatwasthat.show. Prefer to listen while you're on the go? What Was That is available on all major podcast platforms. Apple, Spotify, you name it. Until next time, I'm Gabe Sanchez, and this has been What Was That?